What's up, wise women of weightlifting? This is your women's health weightlifting coach, Ingrid Pauline, and let's talk about bracing. This is arguably one of the most important tenets in weightlifting. It truly, truly is, and I actually think it's one of the most important tenets in all exercises. There is an increase of incontinence and pelvic floor dysfunction, not just in women, but also in men. And it's because we lead these sedentary lifestyles that have us sitting all the time. One of the things that sitting does is that it disengages your pelvic floor activation from pretty much the rest of what you do. What you're supposed to be doing is syncing your diaphragm to your pelvic floor. So when we breathe in, our diaphragm expands, our pelvic floor expands and relaxes, and then when we breathe out, our diaphragm contracts, and so does our pelvic floor. Okay, when I teach my postpartum ladies how to have those connection breaths and we start working again with our pelvic floor and core program, we do a lot of these breaths. It's the core connection breath. That's a different video. But this is a sister video, and it's not too far from what I teach in my pelvic floor and core series. So what we're going to talk about is bracing while you weightlift. So a lot of people mostly men. I don't think women do this nearly as much because we're sort of used to bringing our waist in and looking up and upright, especially if you have like a dance background or if you were a debutante or if you did any kind of modeling, and acting, you're sort of familiar with this. The energy goes through you, bounces off the stomach and goes up through your heart, goes up through your diaphragm, up through your heart. Or if you're singing, you have this string on the top of your chest. Anyway, we have these lovely postural cues that are typically given more towards females than males. And these postural cues actually really set us up for a good core brace, okay? When you're lifting up, what you do is you have to activate your transverse abdominis, which again pulls on that pelvic floor underneath. And this is like the beginning of really great bracing techniques, okay? So, but for a lot of men, what they'll do is they'll bear out. A lot of people, when I say brace, I'm like, make your belly hard. And what they'll do is they'll bear down. And that is how you shit yourself with your intestines, my friends. If you've ever heard weightlifters getting hernias, it's because typically they're bearing down instead of pulling up, okay? Those are deep cuts weightlifting. And if you want to Google weightlifting hernias due to bad bracing, by all means. But yeah, I have a vomit bucket next to you. Anyway, okay, let's talk about it, okay? All right, so we're going to stand here, take it in the sights. All right, you're going to stand with your feet with your weight evenly distributed through your feet, okay, including on your belly, all right? Your hips, instead of being out like this, are going to be slightly underneath you, not completely tucked like the ugly butt squeeze, but slightly underneath you, pulling from the bottom of your bum, all right? And then you're going to pull your hip bones it's almost like you're flexing your hip bones in together and up. There are a number of cues that I use for women when we talk about pelvic floor bracing and activation. But what it basically is you're going to pull your belly button to your spine. You could pretend, like, think about if someone was about to punch you in your stomach. It's like, bam, what do? You're like, oh. That's what you're going to do, okay? But it's not just through the belly. You're also going to contract that pelvic floor. So what this means is you're going to pull your hip bones in, flex your hip bones in together, okay? That's one cue. Trying to pull up tissues through your vaginal canal is another cue, okay? Or trying to pull your belly button into your spine and up through your throat is another cue. Another great cue to use if you're actually going through a movement is the idea of think about hollowing out your hips, okay? So you're gonna hollow out your hips, okay? But that's your bracing, all right? So especially when we get that barbell and we're about to do our squat, we like get underneath the barbell. and execute our squat, okay? So you're gonna pull your belly button in and up, you're gonna pull your hip, you're gonna flex your hip bones together, and you're gonna pull upwards through your vaginal canal, okay? And that's how we brace. If it's a guy watching this video, instead of trying to pull tissues up through your vaginal canal, you're gonna actually try to pull your scrotum, I believe. Yes, try to pull your balls up in through your belly. Try to pull your penis up in through your belly. But again, the flexing the hip bones works really, really well. And this is bracing, folks. Get used to it. Make it a daily part of your life and walk with pride.